So the 777 event, 7 operators, 7 continents in 7 days. They did this last year. It was a big deal. Joe Rogan had it on his podcast with Andy Stump and Mike Sorelli, and it's been on Andy Stump's podcast, which I believe is Cleared Hot, and it's a big deal. And come to find out, I was talking to Mike about coming on the show with us, and I was like, man, let's just talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about that expedition you did last year. You guys broke some records and stuff, and needless to say, I didn't know, but they did a documentary on it. It's about to come out in May, and man, I know you like to fly under the radar, but you about to get really famous. Not just because Burn the Ship's gonna make you famous, but the documentary, that's kind of a big deal, man.
So this is a place where people fly in to shoot at this range.
Some people do, yeah.
That's cool.
Is that true across the teams in general? I have close family members who are on the teams along the East Coast, on the West Coast. And it seems like, all of my Ranger buddies or my Marine buddies, when they had to do work, family came second. But it's always seemed to me like the teams really understand that you guys are the true professionals, and they respect the fact that you have families too. Yeah, I feel like the SEALs are kind of unique in that way, where they let you care about your family and your job. Where a lot of other branches say, no, we come first, then go deal with your family.
Well, bottom line is, you raise your right hand, your military's got you. You're on property. I do, and again, I was lucky. I was blessed to have. It all depends on leadership, right? You get a guy, you get a leader that respects that, and then and most people do, I think, because most people are. I think most operators are, not all of them, but mostly are family guys. Yes, very very rowdy, and very sometimes unpredictable, but that's okay. It's like they can compartmentalize and still have those family values and still come to work and be a pro.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Burn the Ships. As always, I am joined by my brother, Mr. Chad Sabalka, and my other brother, Mr. Chris Royer. And today we have a very special guest dropping in with us. He is one of my favorite human beings that has ever walked this planet. He is one of my best friends. I love him like a brother. He stood in my wedding. Listen, this guy could be one of those guys that everybody on the planet has heard of, but I had to twist his arm just to get him to join us today, and he likes to fly way under the radar, but we're going to get to know a little bit about him and some of the cool stuff he's doing. We're going to go all over the place, from life after retirement from the Navy, team guy, SEAL guy, dev group guy. I'll throw all that in there because Mike will never talk about it. Anyway, we're going to talk about Folds of Honor, a great charity that he's very involved with and that has done a lot of good for a lot of fallen service members. A charity that's done a ton of great work for the families of fallen soldiers and veterans, and I think now they've even gone into first responders and whatnot and their families. We're going to talk about a really cool expedition that Mike did. He did last year. Him and 6 other operators did an expedition that we'll talk about, where they broke 4 world records, and they have a documentary that's coming out next month, and that's going to be really cool to talk about. But we're going to go all over the place today, but it's going to be a good time. And so without further ado, my brother, I love you very much. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Mike Barker. So, yes. But hey, man, listen, tell us a little bit about you, your family. Let's go back to just kind of like a footnote version of Mike. Graduated high school, joined the Navy. Give us a little bit of a, some sort of a little timeline of your career, your family. I'd love to talk about your kids. They're like my nieces and nephews. Your lovely wife, Karen Marie. Let's chat about a little bit of that and let the people get to know you a little bit.
Well, yeah, I grew up kind of out in the country here, and just kind of free spirited country kid. Probably was a good thing they didn't have all the cameras and shit back then, or probably would be in prison a long time ago. Nothing crazy, nothing Nothing bad. Just being mischievous kids. And anyway, I grew up here, and great place to grow up. Hunting, fishing, motorcycles,
Bonfires.
bonfires. Yeah, it was cool. Good people, good hardworking people. Yeah, and
So did you
my parents brought me up right.
did you go to college? Did you play ball? Because I know you were a great athlete.
I did a very limited college experience. Played a little football in a Division II school, and yeah, it was one of those things where pretty back then built on springs, young, fast, cocky. Yeah, it turns out, definitely got humbled up with some of those larger hits, and then I thought I was too cool to go to class, so. To keep a football scholarship, you have to make grades.
Oh, really? For all you kids watching this, by the way, if you do get a scholarship, you actually have to show up for class.
Yeah. Showing up, that's about half. That's at least half the problem right there.
So you did that?
Yeah, I did that. Obviously, I thought it was way cooler than I was at the time. Even though my dad tried to tame it down, he did the best he could, I suppose. But none to worry, because I was there, not too long. One season. Then decided I was going to join the Navy, and that definitely humbled me up really quickly.
So when you joined the Navy, because I know that, like, for me, did you guys ever consider going to military or anything?
I think every young man considers it.
Yeah, for me, and you and I have talked about this. My dad and my uncle both flew, and my uncle was in the Air Force. Uncle Mac, if you're watching this, shout out to you. But all I ever wanted to do was fly jets, right? So I remember going down to the Navy recruiter, and they're like, yeah, man, the chances of that happening are probably slim and none. But, back in those days, I was in really good shape. I'd already started bodybuilding and all that stuff. So I was like this little jacked teenager, right? And the guy's like, man, you'd be perfect for buds. And he's like, you go through SEAL training and become a SEAL, and if a flight slot opens up, guaranteed to get it. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do all that. But I was
Good old recruiter talk.
I was too busy.
Used car salesman.
I was too busy having fun. But going back to you though, was growing up, was there ever a point of you that you were like, man, I want to be a Navy SEAL? Or
Yeah. Unfortunately.
yes.
Well, so my dad was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And he did some very cool things. He was mostly on the collection side. He was a C2, which is a cryptologic technician, and then he retired as a warrant officer. And in the early '80s there, and in his time through the end of Vietnam and then into the Cold War, as he's ranking up through his specialties, and he always said the most professional but fun group of people he ever worked with that were just the best were always guys that he met or were working with on the SEAL teams. And of course I hear tall tales as a young kid and romantic pipe dreams, and so I did. I always kind of had it in the back of my mind when I was done playing football, I was gonna go try to be a SEAL, and that's exactly what I did, and it worked out. Maybe unfortunately, but it worked out.
So I know that there's a huge dropout rate, and there's a lot of guys that do it. Just out of curiosity, because I've never asked this or whatnot. So when you join the Navy and you enlist, you obviously say, hey, I want to go to BUDS, or I want to go to SEAL training or become a SEAL.
Right.
Do they just send? What do you have to do to actually get into BUDS?
Well, you have to pass a basic physical test, and then coming into the military, you take what's called an ASVAB. It's much like a SAT or ACT test, right? And you have to score a certain standard.
Right, you actually have to score pretty high on that, right?
Yeah, you do. It's one of the higher ones in the military. But if you're trying to go, does whatever service you're in, if they look for aptitude is a big thing, right?
Right.
So all the special operations or special units, whether it be Rangers or SF or SEALs or recon, whatever you're into, whatever your service and whatever your journey is, you have to pass that ASVAB with a certain score, a minimum score. So anyway, so you pass that, and then you show up to boot camp. In my case, and they do some what I thought was extremely, at the time, easy to pass. It was only like 10 or 12 pull-ups. It was only like a 500-yard swim in a pool or meter, whatever.
And this is to get into buds?
That's just to get into buds, right?
Really?
Well, to
5 to 10
qualify
Right,
for it, right? And you do that while you're in boot camp. You know, you check the blocks, whatever, and then got a whole bunch of people for some reason trying to talk you out of it. At least in my day. And then, anyway, I stuck with it, leaned into it, and there was a little. I remember in Chicago there after boot camp, they had like this 1 week, tryout thing. It was kind of weird, but basically we swam a lot. We're up early, did a lot of running, a lot of push-ups, sit-ups in the cold. Yeah, I don't know, it was only like a week. And then all of a sudden, like a week later, I get orders. And so show up to Buds, show up to, California there, Southern California there in Coronado. And I had orders, so I made it. And then, I started immediately getting my shit pushed in.
I was gonna say, I was just about to say, hey, this may not be as G-rated as every other one that we've done, but we're gonna have fun with it. But yeah, I would imagine that they were pretty tight, being what, 19? Like, how old were you when you went to Buds?
Oh, it's like 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah.
You show up, you're 20 years old, and you're like, wow, I'm here. I'm at Buds. And
it was a big deal. I think I was the youngest in my class, I want to say. And you show up and people are yelling at you, and you got a bald head, you got a buzz haircut, and you're carrying boats around and swords on top of your head, and you're like, man, this sucks. But you see the light at the end of the tunnel, like this. It's that true selection course, trying to weed out the physically and mentally weak. So you take the few left over, and you can that are trainable. And you hone them into what was expected of us at the time, our nation's calling, if you will. And it was still the 90s. There was no wartime broken out yet, but I got everything I wanted and then some. So careful what you wish for.
Did you make it through your first class, or did you get re-rolled? That's awesome.
Yeah, I did. I was never rolled.
When you went through Buds, did you go up to Kodiak Island in Alaska and all that, or is that something?
So that's more of the modern pipeline, and that's not during Buds. That's actually
is that during SQT?
That's SQT. The SEAL qualification training. Back in my day, we called it STT, SEAL Tactical Training, and the only real unfortunately we didn't go. That would have been awesome. I would love to have done that. But anyway, our cold weather training was mostly just hanging out in Virginia Beach and the really cold water.
Yeah.
so Buds, so that was East Coast. I mean,
I was on the East Coast SEAL teams. Yeah.
Well, I knew you were on the team. So I knew you were on the East Coast SEAL teams through just all our conversations and whatnot. But so all the SEALs don't go to the same Buds at the same place? Because I thought Buds was the West Coast. I thought
Buds is only in the West Coast.
Oh, it is.
So that is the first selection course you have to get through.
Okay, so you have to get through. So if you make it through Buds, there's still a chance that you're not a SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought Buds was the weed out process. I thought that was the weed out process.
That is the weed out process. But even after you graduate Buds, you're still a year to 2 years from getting a tried-in.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you still have to make it through. Like in my day, it was SEAL tactical training. Well, now it's SEAL qualification training, whatever you want to call it. It's another kicking the ball selection course. It's not quite as obviously it's not like Buds style, but it's more on everything's on a tactical level. You learn a lot of shooting, a lot of demo, a lot of your combat scrummer stuff, and it's just another like 6-8 months long, and it's actually quite fun. That was a lot of fun. You travel a little bit, get to see some real assets that the SEAL teams can provide you with, and what you'll be doing. Helos, aircraft, things like that. It's pretty cool.
Is that when you get jump qualified? Is during SQT?
Well, so again,
Or STT?
I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
So I had back in my day, you went through Army Static Line Jump School in Fort Benning, Georgia, before you even showed up to your SEAL team. And then once in my day, you show up to your SEAL team, then you take all the new guys. They class them up for the next STT class back then. So now I'm on the East Coast SEAL team. So they take all of us newbies in the East Coast SEAL teams, and they class us up, and then we do the STT training for several months there, and then when we complete that, we go back to our team that we came on. In my case, it was 4, and then you go through an internal selection course board type kind of thing. Not a selection course, but it's more of a board. And, you know, it's everybody that is somebody at the team that's respected in whatever discipline that they kind of, you know, you get in the teams, you kind of nerd out what you like. Some guys like demo, some guys like, you know, shooting, you know, pistol, rifle, long range, some guys like jumping, right? So you go, or, you know, the communicators, all the communications, right? So, you know, you take the nerd communicator and, you know, who's like really good in his field, but he's nerding out over it, right? So you have to like pass all his tests and standards, and then you go to the jumper and you do like, you know, rigging checks, and you do, you know, and it's, you know, they put you through a lot of like hypothetical stuff and how well you speak to it and whatnot. And then if you pass that, you may finally get your trident. Right. Just to show up to your first platoon, and then they take that trident because it's your first platoon and they hold it because you're basically on like
probation.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's a perfect word for it.
When you get pinned, everybody goes back to the grinder in Coronado to get pinned, right? Whether you're on the East Coast or West
now that's
Coast.
modern day.
Okay.
So what happens modern day is essentially not quite different, but you go through before you get farmed out to your teams, and then the newbies get together for SCT. You basically go from buds. You might have a small break, a week or two, and then you class up in SQT. So all the new guys go to SQT, qualification training, right? Then they knock out all the basic pipeline stuff. So you have all your jump stuff, to include free fall this time, thank God, because that was just a nice, easy pipeline. All your shooting, demo, all the stuff we did at SCT, right? All the same thing, right? You pass all that and become very proficient in that. You check that box, then you get your trident, then you get pinned, and then you go to your team, right? Yeah. And then when you show up to your team, they usually, as a brand new guy in the team now, they take your trident and they hold it. And again, it's like a probation period, usually through your first workup and first platoon.
And how long is that period?
Workup and platoon takes a better part of 2 years just to get through to complete the whole thing.
No kidding. I thought we were talking like weeks. We're talking years.
Years.
Wow.
So from the time you join the Navy until you're a respected team guy, it's like a 4-5 year period before. Longer? 6 years?
Some people are never respected.
Well, that's true.
At what point are you like, okay, I'm
You're considered like
a
a well-seasoned team guy about 5 to 6 years into it.
Okay.
Like you're trusted, and then you can start doing
really doing your job
like
the way that it.
And be in charge of like whatever your discipline is, whatever you kind of nerd it out on. Like for me, it was like the air stuff. I like to jump, and you know, some of our CQB stuff, right? So you get all your range safety officer quals, or you get all your jump master quals and things like that, right?
So let's talk about the teams, because I know there's a lot of people that, I mean, you're hearing it from a guy that did it, right? So it's not, you know, what you read on the internet or hear in social media. But East Coast teams versus West Coast teams, is it just, what's the real difference there? And let's be honest, because this is Burn the Ships and this is an honest podcast. But what's the big difference?
Clearly, since I was mostly the East Coast teams are so much better. No, I'm just kidding. I would never say.
But is it like even and odd? Because aren't the West Coast?
The even teams are on the East Coast and the odd teams are on the West Coast.
Right. So, and let's talk about that a little bit. So first of all, to get a trident, I mean, I think you're somewhat of a badass just to do that. But then there's even so many extra levels of, I guess, being an elite soldier once even you're within the teams, right? So you met your wife, Karen Marie. You guys met in high school, right?
Yeah, we dated in high school.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
And then throughout your career, you guys had kids and moved around a lot. And well, I guess you really didn't move around a lot,
Not
did
too
you?
much.
Not like most military families.
But it was actually, you know, I guess it depends on where you look at it. I mean, yes, I deployed a lot, especially after the war started. But you know, it's one of those things where I was blessed to have really good platoon chiefs and team leaders, troop chiefs, things like that worked with me because they knew that I always prioritized my family. I was very good at my job. I was very competent, definitely a team player, and loved all those guys through and through. But when the rubber met the road, when I was at home as much as I could. I didn't feel like I had to rush into work to the command to go get the, you know, second or third intel brief. Right? I'm like, yeah, just give me the wave tops, and if we launch, cool. If not, I'm gonna go see my kid's basketball game. You know,
Yeah.
you know.
Is that true across the teams in general? I have close family members who are on the teams, one East Coast, one West Coast, and it seems like all of my like Ranger buddies or my Marine buddies, like when they had to do work, family came second. But it's always seemed to me like the teams really understand that you guys are the true professionals, and they respect the fact that you have families too. Like I know that
I think so.
Yeah, I feel like the SEALs are kind of unique in that way, where they let you care about your family and your job. Where a lot of other branches say, no, we come first, then go deal with your family.
Well, bottom line is you raise your right hand, the military's got you. You're a property. I do, and again, I was lucky. I was blessed to have. It all depends on leadership, right? Mm-hmm. You get a guy, you get a leader that respects that, and then and most people do, I think, because most people are most. I think most operators are, not all of them, but mostly are family guys. Yes, very very rowdy, and very sometimes unpredictable, but that's okay. It's like they can compartmentalize and still have those family values and still come to work and be a pro.
Mm-hmm. So, how many years total before you retired? Because you ended up moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. You retired from the West Coast, right?
I did just over 20 more years, and I left the East Coast, went out to the West Coast, take over some training, kind of like what I thought was going to be my little twilight tour. And then lo and behold, I did a good friend of mine that was an officer at one, and he's like, hey, I want you to go back to Iraq for me and take some guys in. And so I did. And I'm actually happy that I did get that one last deployment. It was very cool. It was very humbling. It was, I felt like we got a lot accomplished. And I think that was good for my soul as is departing the Navy and on those terms.
So life after retirement. So you retire back. What was it?
When you're retiring out of the military, you're definitely not retiring from working.
Right. Yeah, right. But you stayed involved, right? So now you're kind of in charge of a training operation over there, right? They're training a bunch of these younger SEALs.
So, everybody's younger than me now, I guess. But, so basically I teach assaults training for the West Coast SEAL teams and help run that contract, mostly urban.
Nice. So it keeps you in shape. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you in the mix.
Yeah,
you still
definitely. Gotta run around and keep up with those 20-year-olds that were cocky as hell, hair on fire, man. Built on springs. Wish I had that.
when you see these guys, does it just bring back so many memories? You're like, man, I was that guy once, right?
I'll see something simple and it's so stupid. It's such an old man thing to do. Is like you see some dude like reaching down and doing, picking up like a heavy weight, but just all back, but doesn't give a fuck because they're just strong. They're all Adonis and just strong as shit. And you're like, God damn. Wait, no, don't do.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, like you're good. Yeah, then you get to me and I'm like, oh, okay, I can still move the same weight. Maybe. I have to make sure my legs are under me, my back's just right.
Gotta roll out for 30 minutes before you even start.
Yep. Roll out for
10 minutes
back.
to get out of bed the next morning.
See, my two co-hosts, they don't know that yet. They're still young. They're still young bucks, but give it about 10 years, they'll be in our boat. But so you're helping run a contract, training those guys, making sure that they're where they need to be. You've got Bear Mouth Precision, which I've been fortunate enough to go up to your big shooting range up in Montana. We went a little hunt last year.
That's it's just a lot of fun up there. Again, it was just good people and wide open places where you can just chill. You just chill out. There's like not a thought that goes through your mind other than just taking in the beauty, the scenery.
Now, what is that? You guys obviously know what that is.
Yeah, you guys probably don't know.
I know what it is. I invite one of these days.
Come on up there. Tell Chris a little bit about Bear Mouth.
Yeah, so Bear Mouth, a friend of mine and I got together. He's a rancher up in Montana there, and it's southwest corner of the state, near the Missoula area. So up in the hills, we built this really, really nice long range shooting facility, and we can shoot a known range with little degree differences out to a mile. And then we have a high angle range as well. So it's a little what I call unknown distance. So it's up to the shooter to shoot distance calculate angles, and of course you're taking all your atmospherics and you're doing some math and putting accurate shots on target.
Very cool. So this is a place where people like fly in to shoot at this range.
Some people do,
specifically.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's been great. We've had a couple of the SEAL teams out there, and we've had SF crew out there. We've had some comms, just like some military folks, and then we try to take a lot of the Folds guys out there support Bearmouth and Folds. And it's been great. It's been cool.
So when you talk about Folds, we're gonna go into that now. The big charity that we're wanting to talk about today, the Folds of Honor. But when you talk about Folds guys and bringing them up to the ranch, these are guys that are, usually some high net worth dudes that are paying pretty big money to support Folds, and you'll put a group of these guys together and go up there and do some long range shooting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We'll kind of do whatever they want to do. But usually we'll take a group and we'll do, depending on, where they're at in their shooting skills. It doesn't matter if they're novice or experts. It really doesn't matter. Safety is always first, but we'll take them in and it's, we kind of coach them along, and we get them behind some really nice rifle platforms, some nice long range rifles. We'll do a little pistol work too. We've got a nice little valley, little channelized area where we do some pistol work. We're making another one as well, but anyway, and they go up and they're just big donators to Folds, right?
Yeah.
So basically, this is Folds' way to give back to them and make sure. So they'll come in and they'll do an auction on one of the fundraisers. Maybe a lot of it's golf centric for Folds.
At least for now, but we're changing some of that.
Yeah,
right?
we're getting into some other things, which is cool.
But they'll throw these big golf tournaments, and they do an auction or whatever.
Yeah, so we call it like a Montana experience. Come and shoot a little bit. This area where Bearmouth Precision is, one, is a really nice lodge to we put people up at, and then two, it's some of the best fly fishing. Oh my gosh, you can't. It's unbelievable, the fly fishing up there. So we kind of put all the package together, and it's cool.
It is cool.
So,
and for somebody that's actually got the experience, I mean, it's an amazing place.
Question: so if you got high rollers there, I bet. I mean, they usually like to blow stuff up. So what is the coolest thing you guys have ever blown up on your
up there
range?
at Bearmouth?
Yeah.
So here's the thing with me, man. I've blown up plenty of things. I'm not worried about those things. Big booms just scare me nowadays. So I try to keep. I like to look at nice rolling hills and trees, and try to keep all the demolition stuff to a minimum. Try to be low impact to the habitat and environment around, because not that I'm some tree hugging hippie, but I do love to elk hunt, and those elk still migrate up there and do everything they're supposed to do as wild animals. Can't say the same for this state any longer, but anyhow, I'll get off that. But so I try to keep those things to a minimum.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah, we'll do other things like we'll get them on the river, and or we got a spring-fed lake that's thermally warm to a point. Obviously, midwinter is still pretty chilly, but even wintertime, we got a cool little skiing mountain about 40 minutes away, and I think the longest I've ever waited in line was about 35 seconds. So it was pretty awesome.
Sounds like we need to do a team retreat up there. Huh?
Shit.
I'm telling you guys.
I mean, I've talked to both of you about it before, but never to this, in depth about it. And
yeah, I've been fortunate.
I need to sell some damn houses so I can go to this auction.
Right.
Or I just need to give Mike a bunch of tequila. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Tequila always works. So you just can't spread the good news or the nice news about it, because
it's a gem. Next thing you know, somebody will be trying to buy it.
We need the hidden gem.
Yeah.
We can't make Montana like Denver.
Yeah.
I feel like Yellowstone already let the cat all out of
I
the
know
bag
that
as
Yellowstone,
far
which is really funny.
Yeah.
Because people watch that show, and it is a good show. I mean, Kevin Costner, I've been a fan of his since I was a child.
Right.
Anyway, so you go up there and these people think usually well-to-do people think, oh yeah, we're gonna be like Yellowstone. Well, they go up there, they don't even make it through a winter.
Right.
We're out of here.
Oh yeah.
You get a couple cold spells about 50 below, and they're like, yeah, that's not as cool as I thought.
Right back to Southern California.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
build the little summer retreat. Yeah.
Maybe that's all they get.
So Folds, they do all these different cool golf tournaments, whatnot. I mean, lately with your involvement with them, trying to steer it a little, I wouldn't say away from the golf tournaments because they raise a lot of money and they do all these events, but instead of just doing the golf events, I think you said that you guys are going to try to start doing, now that you're retired, you got a little bit more time, you're peeling back from the training a little bit, that it allows you more time to invest more into Folds and you start doing some more outdoory type stuff, right? Like some hunting and fishing trips, things like that, for the big donators.
I think Bearmouth, when my buddy and I up there made it, and then luckily I was introduced to Folds years ago when they needed a guy to do some jumps for some people and some tandems, and that's easy for me. So got to know these guys really well. Some of the best people I've ever met. Well, the founder, Dan Rooney, amazing man, but he is, he's F-16 pilot, but he is a professional golfer. So it's always been like kind of golf centric. They've basically they've kind of asked me like, hey, let's segue into some of these other things. I think Bearmouth kind of opened some eyeballs for them, at least for some other clientele. And so we do a little shooting, a little fishing, just a little bit of outdoor stuff, and then obviously some skydiving because that's always fun.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, I mean, Mike gets to, as a celebrity in these events, he gets to jump out of airplanes, land into a golf course, change into his golf attire, and play some of the best golf courses around the country. But you know what? You earned that, man. You earned it.
I just ain't lying, but then I feel bad because it is. So sometimes it's just beautiful golf courses, and I'm like, I'm not a golfer. I tried, and then somebody asked me like you, asked me, oh, you played, and he goes, oh my gosh, you played there, and yeah, I don't know, is that a big deal? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Well, let's talk about the 777, guys. Let's. I mean, I know you guys have questions about that. I mean, I've heard all about it. So the 777 event, 7 operators, 7 continents in 7 days. They did this last year. It was a big deal. Joe Rogan had it on his podcast with Andy Stump and Mike Sorelli, and it's been on Andy Stump's podcast, which I believe is Cleared Hot, right? Cleared Hot, and it's a big deal. And, come to find out, I was, talking to Mike about coming on the show with us, and I was like, man, let's just talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about that expedition you did last year. You guys broke some records and stuff, and needless to say, I didn't know, but they did a documentary on it. It's about to come out in May, and man, I know you like to fly under the radar, but you about to get really famous. Not just because Burn the Ship's gonna make you famous, but the documentary, that's kind of a big deal, man. Let's dive into that a little bit.
You know what? I hope it's a big deal because I hope it raises a lot of awareness and raises a lot of money for these kids and these families of fallen and wounded vets, and get some kids in college. Give some moms and some wounded vets some breathing room. It's great. So we're really pulling for it, really hoping, and yeah, it's cool. We broke a couple little records by traveling all the continents, and we set basically a speed record for jumping in all 7 continents. We did it in just under 7 days. It was pretty cool.
That's insane. So is it just raising money for Folds, or is there multiple charities behind it?
No, it was just for Folds of Honor.
Okay.
For so Mike Sorelli is the founder and the boss, CEO, or whatever his title is. Not good with titles, sorry. So Mike Sorelli was in the Navy with me, and although we were on different teams, squadrons, but we were together a lot in the same command essentially. And Mike's always been a good friend. We get this team together, and he was at first just trying to reach in because it's quite expensive, right? Like just to go down to what was it, the Antarctic exploration something, I don't know, I'm messing that up. Anyway,
But the Antarctica,
that whole piece was
Yeah.
just for that was like $30,000 a dude, right? And then of course all the plane tickets, and Mike had a way of bringing some people together as far as like American Airlines and some other big donors and some people that sponsored us. Like Frog Fuel and Savage Jerky and things like that, right? And then of course Black Rifle. Those guys have been awesome. Nothing but
they were big time sponsors, right?
Yeah, and then a couple of their boys, a prior Marine and a prior Ranger, and just good people, man. Just smart, humble, just cool. It was awesome. It was a good experience.
Of the 7 jumps, which one was your favorite?
A lot of people have asked me that, and one, like how many people get to even touch Antarctica? I mean, that
Right.
was unbelievable, and it's so pretty there. It was
Very white.
It's definitely white, a lot of ice. There's a lot of ice down there.
Yeah, 'cause I watched some of the video. You didn't jump on the coast. You were like inland.
Yeah, we were in there, and we were probably about one third of the way up into the South Pole there.
Wow.
But yeah, that was awesome. And one thing you learn that I didn't really, I guess I knew, but I didn't really realize is just how much mountains there are in Antarctica. So that was cool. But anyway, I don't know. Was that my favorite jump? I don't know, man. Because as soon as we got over, man, I like looking at green things. And as soon as we got over to Chile to do the South American jump, more tropics or subtropics, man, we got out of that aircraft with a nice warm air, just looking at the Andes Mountains in the distance, and then the nice lush greenery that we were jumping into. It was beautiful. And then of course you have Egypt, like you're jumping over the pyramids, like unbelievable, right? So I don't know. I guess. And then Australia. The first thing I saw is we hop out of the bus. I saw a kangaroo. I was like super excited.
Did you want to go up and like spar with it?
I just wanted to see a kangaroo, and sure enough, like right in the middle of our drop zone, off in the distance at the time, but it was, I saw a kangaroo. I'm like, yes, it checked all those marks.
Mission accomplished.
That's awesome. So, the trailer for the movie just came out, right?
It did, yeah. I just said that to you last night, right?
Yeah, you did. So we're going to throw that in. I want you guys to watch this trailer, and we'll be right back to you.
In 2023, a group of special operations veterans set out on an unprecedented journey, skydiving into all 7 continents within 7 days.
We are blessed that we knew warriors that lived life to the fullest, and even more so, were prepared to give their lives and stood for something.
Constantly remember that the people that we were jumping for gave up their today and every one of their tomorrows so we could be out here doing stuff like this.
Try and touch greatness with everything we do.
What bad decisions led me to this moment?
I mean, we all have our own crossbear. I volunteered for this. I wish I could volunteer off of it at this point.
We do have a big problem. We were told for days that we were going to jump into the Corniche. That's why we went there and we briefed it as a team.
We had spent 18 months. We left very little to chance.
The FAA announcing a total system failure nationwide.
When the weather goes bad, it goes really bad.
So we're so.
We started as a team. We're going to finish as a team. This is how we operate. This is how our DNA is structured.
So you loving the jump? I mean, like that had to have been fun. Let's dig into it a little bit, though. Like
I do like to jump.
Like, let's talk about some of the guys. Like Sorelli, is he as cool as he seems? I mean, is he?
No, Mike's awesome, but I can't can't let him have too much.
Oh, I know.
That big bald head will get even bigger.
I know, right?
He's a highly motivated professional. I've always appreciated about Mike, and I've always trusted him, even though he was an officer. But yeah, no, Mike's good. Man, he's good people.
He just seems like a good dude, man. I mean, and the guys from Black Rifle, that I think they did most of their jump training after the military, right? Or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, so they got more into jumping after they both had left or retired, and just their units that they were in mission with and what they came up through. One of them being retired Ranger and one of them being prior Marine. They just didn't jump or get into, I guess, their platoons or battalions. They weren't the jump battalion, if you will. So they just didn't get into it.
Right, and even still, a lot of that type of jumping that's more static. I mean,
yeah, you get static line. Putting a lot of people out really quickly. You're kind of a victim. As far as the jumper goes, you're kind of a victim. You're at 1,200 feet and the line pulls your chute and you just float down, right? It's not really, well, you can make it a steerable canopy, but more often than not, if you go back to the good old World War II days, you're just floating down, getting a lot of people on the ground really fast, right?
Right.
It's kind of brilliant, actually, and obviously we know it works. Most of the special operations military jumping, skydiving, or military free fall, if you will. Yeah, obviously we jump out at our release point at set altitudes and predetermined altitudes, and we do some math and wind calculations, and we get where we need to go.
You guys are surgical when it comes to jumping too. It's not just I'm going to jump out of a plane and I'm somewhere around my target. You calculate everything from humidity to wind to everything to figure out exactly where you're going to land, and you can have 12 guys jump out of the back of a C-130 in the middle of the night and end up within 50 yards of each other.
Yeah, usually. Well, we hope it's 50. Sometimes it's more when we're first, especially when we're first practicing.
When you're,
but yes,
going back to your team days, was the goal to be under 20 yards away? Because I feel that's too close.
The goal, 100 yards. It all depend on where we were landing on the size of our landing area.
The topography of the area.
Exactly. Yeah. And then microterrain had a lot to do with it. And those are those final things as when you're coming in on final and you can start, seeing ground if it's a true unknown DZ that the individual jumper starts picking up, and your jump master and some of your other, lead guys start giving you some direction, make sure everybody lands safe and whatnot. But yes, it is. I mean, there's definitely some math involved. It's nothing crazy. You take the performance, you take your weight under canopy, and then you take the performance of that canopy you're jumping, and you try to calculate the winds going into a certain direction, and depending on how high you pull or how low you pull, depends on how far you drive in from there.
Right.
I've always been blown away by that. I mean, because I know you and I have had some conversations about it. I mean, a lot of times you guys, you're always jumping at night, right? I mean, night, like maybe.
Not always, but yeah. I mean, ideally that's a true.
Yeah, and this isn't 777 we're talking about now. We're going back.
If you're trying to be, some sort of clandestine insertion, of course, you'd be jumping at night.
So you're jumping at night. You're jumping. I mean, didn't you say sometimes you guys are 100+ miles from your?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
I mean, for the sake of, I guess, everybody hearing this, you can embellish wherever you want. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give you specifics because that would.
You're not going to get longitude, latitudes of actually some of your landing zones.
I'm not going to give away our tactics. I mean, essentially, we jump out of a plane, we get to a spot we need to get to. It doesn't matter. You tell us when and where, we'll get there, man.
That's just crazy to me though. At night, you got 10 guys, and you're jumping out in the dark, and you're landing within whatever yards of each other at the same target in the dark. That just seems like that would just be kind of eerie and
many remarkable things that they do.
Yeah, I mean, just
it takes
crazy.
practice.
Everything you gotta do.
And that's the thing. It's just this is just a way to get somewhere. That's not even our job. Essentially, it's just a way to. And that's the whole thing. Whether it be either air or you're coming in from the water, if you're boats, or if you're just good old you're hoofing it in, whatever you gotta do. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's funny you say it takes practice, but there's probably not a lot of margin for error in that practice when you jump at night.
Well, we build in
margins
we build in some. Obviously, you have a plan, and a good plan is that's all it is. It's a good plan. As soon as you take your first step forward, you're immediately trying to stick to that plan, and then obviously you build in margins of error. You build in contingency plans, sometimes tertiary plans, and sometimes you just get it out and survive.
That's funny.
So back to 777, you said you broke 4 world records doing this?
Yeah.
Do you remember what those 4 were?
Well, we did the seven continents, 7 days, which had never been done before. And then our tandem guys, Nick and Jim, they had never done the same thing, but with a tandem.
Okay.
So we had a tandem on every one of our jumps, which was cool. And then I think the other 2, sorry, I might correct me if I'm wrong, it was the fastest 4 days in 4 continents and the fastest 5 days in 5 continents or something like that.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Something like that. I didn't pay attention to the other 2. I was kind of tired at that point.
Yeah. I don't remember which clip from whatever on YouTube with this that I was watching, but the flight going into Antarctica, was that just you guys?
No, there was other.
Because there was nobody else on that airplane, so obviously it's not the most popular destination.
Man, you'd be surprised. Antarctic Logistics and Exploration. That's the name of the company that got us there. And sorry, because that's what I forgot earlier. Yeah, so we basically go down to Chile and we meet them there, and so we're basically on their aircraft and everything from there. And that plane is really cool. Lands on the runway is a glacier. Right. It's literally the ice is it's like blue ice. It's amazing. It's just blew my mind. It's unbelievable. And it lands right there on the ice, and it's ridiculous. It's pretty cool.
So when you get off the airplane, how cold is it? I mean,
well, it's Antarctica. 300-400 below zero. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, we had really good weather. We were very fortunate. I think we had some higher powers looking over us, if you will. Big man in the sky wanted to pull us down because there was a few little obstacles that got thrown our way. It worked out, and we were still able to make these timelines. But it wasn't that bad. We were. It never got dark, right? Because we were down there. It's technically it's the summer season for them. I think one day it got up to like 5 degrees, which is a big deal. But when the sun's out, right, and the wind's not blowing, it doesn't.
I was gonna say, does it really feel that cold, or is it more like a Colorado day if it's like 30 and sunny and no wind?
Exactly. Like so we got there. We were there for at least a week. So it's one of those things, once you're there, your return flight back to Chile, if you're socked in with weather or whatever, you may not come back for a while, right? But we were lucky. I think we were there 6 days, and then we were able to jump the last day. But we jumped before that to like a warm-up jump. And I remember like, hey, at altitude, we're calculating some pretty cold, 50 below, obviously, and then traveling 120, 130, 40 miles an hour, or whatever, down the pipe, and after you exit that aircraft. And so, man, I had big puffball jackets, I had, all kinds of stuff. I was so goddamn hot.
Really?
I could not.
When you jumped, you were hot?
On that first one. I was like, crazy. I could not wait to get on the ground and just peel off all that stuff. I was sweating buckets underneath it, because I thought, like, we're going to get so cold,
you're gonna
right?
freeze to death theoretically if you don't have that on, but you were so covered.
Well, you don't want any exposed skin.
I was gonna say, so what do you do what do you wear so that nothing is exposed? Because that's like instant frostbite, right?
I wore those Falalin Javin pants. Fajal rated. I like to say Falalin Javins. The pants that like outdoor pant.
Yep.
And then long johns out, underneath that, and some nice wool socks, and then obviously some nice Solomon boots that were issued to us. And I had the Folds jump jersey with a layer of like icebreaker, long johns or thermal protection under that, and then I just made sure all my skin wasn't exposed. So the second jump that counted, that started the clock.
Right.
That literally this guy Mike, who's the head of the ALE, Antarctic Logistics Explorations, the weather was just working out. Our plane ride out, as that big 757's coming into the glacier, he sent us up on the prop, because it's got to land, unload gear, gas up, and then turn around to fly back to Chile, right? He spun us up in a little prop job and dropped us, and so we landed. We already had all of our stuff packed up as far as our gear. We packed up our chutes and got on an aircraft.
Took pictures.
Just straight on the plane.
Took pictures at the little ice sculpt thing or whatever it was. It said skydive, whatever. I saw that on one of the videos.
We couldn't have planned it, and thank God, Mike was there, and ALE. Those guys were just awesome all the way around. The food was unbelievable, by the way.
The food in Antarctica?
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow! So they had a good kitchen and a nice chef out there, right?
Dude, their chow tent was remarkable.
I would have never guessed that.
I'm expecting like military chow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When we deploy and whatnot, it was amazing. Anyway,
so the clock started as soon as you guys jumped out of the airplane, or was it when you spun up on the runway?
As soon as our first guy left the aircraft,
that's when the clock
started for us, and we landed. We were able to pack our shit, and we were on the 757 back in the air, but back to Chile probably within like not even an hour.
From Antarctica back to Chile?
Oh no!
We
were on the aircraft flying. So then we got to Chile. Obviously, it's
what is? How far is that flight?
I think it was 5 hours.
5 hours,
which is probably one of our shortest.
And then Chile was your jump, and was your next jump, right?
Yeah. So then of course we jumped there. Well, we landed back in Punta Arenas, and then had to fly to Santiago, and then we got their second jump, and then from there hit the ground, haul ass to the airport. Well, and we then hit Miami, and I think we got all 3 of those jumps in I want to say in like 30 hours or something.
Wow.
So we had like a third knocked out in like 30 hours or something. It was unbelievable.
And then the train kind of came off the tracks, man.
I was going to say, where was it?
You guys just happened to time the first FAA full shutdown ever.
Who would have saw that coming,
right? That's a massive curveball.
I still don't know exactly what it was about. A good friend of mine I grew up with, I asked him about it. It's something about they were basically redoing all the FAA, however they can, the magic they do in the sky to make sure nobody crashes into each other. I'm really happy they do that. But I guess the formats and the programming they were using was decades old, and they were rolling into this new one. So it was like a all stop for no really apparent reason for several hours, and then once they got that new program, that's the one I understand. Yeah. So and it just so happened to be like when we were trying to get to Spain, and we were like, oh shit.
It's crazy to me that you were able to take off so freaking perfectly from Antarctica, go through Chile, you end up in Egypt and Australia and all these other places, but Miami is the one that could have derailed this whole thing.
I think it would have happened anywhere. It just happenstance. We were from what I understand, we were in Miami, and it was probably a good place to have that happen because so we're again good friends from Folds, and our good friend from our immediate neighbor to the north, old Big Glen. Talk to the right people, and dude, next thing you know, we got a damn G5 or G6 or whatever they call them. I don't know. Big, nice, or not big, but
and now you guys went from flying airline.
It was like, oh my god, this is amazing. People travel this way. This is unbelievable.
And so that's how you guys got to go from Miami to Spain in a G6 or whatever.
Yeah, it was awesome. So that
drinking champagne and caviar on your way to Spain.
I don't think we paid for the champagne and caviar, but we definitely had a cold beer and on the flight.
Awesome,
and then
it wasn't a plane ride like the Iron Man plane ride where with what's his name when they
Tony Stark.
Yeah, with Tony Stark. It wasn't like that.
No, probably it wasn't that. But we all got some sleep, right?
Yeah.
And that was another good thing is Mike had some point of contacts for the American Airlines, and other than that leg, American Airlines really pull through, so that was cool.
So you got to Spain. Where did you guys jump in Spain?
Barcelona, right outside of Barcelona.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. I'd never really been. I don't think. Well, other than a couple of military bases, just like gas stops. I've never been to Barcelona, Spain, or that coast. That oh my god, it's I gotta go back.
Somewhere you want to go back to?
So pretty.
I was blessed enough to go there when I was a kid. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Barcelona.
And everyone was so nice. It's just
the food is insane.
Oh, I bet.
You probably didn't get to hang out and eat any of it, but
no, I didn't hang out too long. But just flying in, flying out, it was fun. And then the scenery is beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And then from there to Egypt, jumping out over the pyramids.
Yep, got to Egypt. We were well received and taken care of there, and that was. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty cool. I've never seen the pyramids before.
That's
I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Not only just seeing the pyramids for the first time, but jumping out and just that whole experience. That had to have been amazing.
It was really cool. So after we landed, and got our gear and whatnot. We went and basically did a site survey of where we were landing, our landing area, our LZ. It's kind of this on the side of this golf course, and it was actually one of the fairways of this golf course that's right, probably straight line distance, half mile from the pyramids, right? That we were jumping over. And so we get there and we're looking, at our house, and I just could not stop looking at the size of the, you see pyramids in books and you read about it as a kid and, your whole life, but you really just see like the size of them.
They're massive,
and
aren't they?
The huge stone blocks is like unbelievable. How does that built so many thousands of years ago? It was really cool. It was just a very cool experience that I was just very blessed to be a part of.
And then you went from there to
Dubai. So we jumped there and UAE and whatnot, and it was just really windy, and we'll just leave it at that.
Was that where some of the because that was going to lead into one of my other questions, was going to be like throughout this trip, there's always got to be challenges. What was y'all's biggest challenge through this whole expedition? Like, what would you say if you're looking back that you said, man, we really had to figure some stuff out on this one?
Well, to figure some stuff out, obviously, with the FAA shutdown, and then luckily we, friends in low places, if you will, came through that private aircraft, which was amazing. So that was a big challenge. We ended up overcome that, and then dealing with, with the UAE and landing. Some of those personalities were very hard to deal with, I guess. So we were very restricted on what we could and could not do. And you know what? At this point, we were just checking a block anyway. It's just like, let's just get out of this bird.
Yeah.
And let's land and then get the hell out of here. And then we were off to Australia, which was.
Did you guys run into some weather or something, or did you have like any?
It was a bit windy down there in UAE, but it was really windy, and of course not windy enough to not jump.
Right.
It was pretty windy in Australia, but man, Australia, that country's so cool. We had a lot of our comrades that we had worked with overseas and some of their special units in the military, and they I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I don't know. They showed up in the van, like we're coming out of the airport this late at night, and then we're jumping early in the morning. Their van pulls up, they grab all of us and all of our shit, and the first thing I do is just big coolers open up with beers and and I'm like, hey Mike,
Dude, that's awesome. So that was kind of a reunion then for that. Not only did you get the jump and you're getting that experience, but you actually got to bump into some guys that you had been on different stuff with.
Units that deploy together in bad places and whatnot. And well, I've always thought highly of the Aussies with their.
Well, they're special units.
Yeah, they
sure what I'm supposed to call them or say outside or whatever names. I know everyone has their thing, but let's say they're very professional and they're very fun. They're good at their jobs. A lot of fun.
Since Australia was the last jump and you completed it, did you get to hang out there and take in the sights? And
initially,
with buddies, or did you have to just come straight home?
Man, I wanted to stay and hang out
for like a week.
Probably still either.
Yeah.
That was the initial plan. We were going to finally wind down and catch up on some sleep. And so I guess going back to your earlier question, that was the biggest thing that I didn't think I was going to be physically affected as much. And I think everybody felt it, was the lack of sleep. Because it's so hard to, sleep back and coach when you're just traveling and you're off your regular sleep schedule and whatnot. Anyway, so that affected me. But so we were going to stay there, chill out, catch up with our Aussie friends and maybe have too many libations. But they wanted to do like one final tribute jump there in Tampa, Florida. So we get back to the States, the clock's not running anymore. We did it. We completed our mission. It was pretty awesome. So that was a nice little celebration, and we just had some good food, and of course our Aussie friends had coolers of beers for us. And but we didn't hang out too long. We got a little bit of sleep, and then back on an airplane the next day. Got back to the States, and then got all the way back to Florida, and then we did our final little hoo-yah jump in right outside of in Zephyr Hills, right outside of Tampa. Just to Tampa.
At Command or something like that.
There's just there is a command that is close to there.
Yeah.
And so just a lot of supporters and a lot of people from the Florida area, and then some people from the Arizona area, and the company, one probably our biggest overall sponsor, and he was on the jump too. Fred, who runs a company called CPS, Complete Parachute Systems, and unbelievable. So they're just so much support, and so we couldn't have done without those guys for sure. Yeah. So anyway, so that was kind of the last jump, and then we finally got to hang out and party.
Nice. So the goal was $7 million, right? That
That
was
is still the goal.
Okay.
We're still
I
trying to
didn't
get
know
there.
if the jumps had certain sponsors behind them that were going to donate if you completed it, or is
Yeah.
that the kind of an ongoing goal?
It's still an ongoing
Okay.
goal, and I'm hoping not only do we meet it after this documentary comes out, but then we exceed it. Not for any of us, for what it means and what it means for Folds of Honor. And
So again,
and really-
Folds of Honor gives
really the
scholarships to the kids of fallen war heroes, to first responders, kids, their spouses, to get them into school.
So just recently, not even a year ago, they opened up the scholarships to any wounded or fallen first responders, to the families of wounded or fallen first responders, which is even more responsibility, right?
Absolutely.
But we're doing it with the good people that run Folds, and 91 to up to 94 cents out of every dollar goes right to where it should.
We're freaking awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to hit on that. That is amazing, man, because I know most charities out there, and I don't want to throw a bunch of them under the bus, but when you think of Wounded Warriors and a lot of these other charities, they still do great stuff, right? But 94 cents of every dollar goes to the charity. I don't know of any charities out
Red
there.
Cross is world renowned for being at like 96 cents. I think that they're kind of the leader when it comes to charities actually getting money to what needs to be done. So the fact that you guys are 94 cents on the dollar is incredible. If somebody do you know how people can get involved?
I just go to the
go to foldsofhonor.com.
foldsofhonor.org.
Okay.
It says right there. They do a very good job. Seeing behind the scenes a little bit. First of all, everyone is just so living to give, right? And they're just really good people, and I don't think nobody's taking advantage. Everyone's there to show up and work because they have their eye. Everyone seems to have their eye on the prize, and I think it starts with good leadership, just like anything else in our lives, right? Mm-hmm. Good leadership, whether it be family, whether it be business, whether it be military, right? Everybody, be a good leader. You got to be a good follower at some point, right? So you have good leaders to set the tone, set the standard. You have good followers, and then they rise people up to meet the challenge and really mentor them to greatness and get the money where it's supposed to go. And there's a lot of people that work really hard to do that, and it's something about seeing behind the curtain there. Just starting out with I'll jump out of an airplane for you, no big deal, right? And then now getting involved with them and making some really good friends. It's kind of, for me, it's just opened my eyes to a lot of good leadership outside of the military.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely become one of my favorite just because of you and y'all's involvement and the good it does, and the fact that I know most of the money actually does go to the scholarships. It's one of those things where I think that one of my biggest surprises in all of this is we're still trying to get to that 7 million with as much publicity as this thing got. Because it was on Good Morning America, I think I saw. You guys are on multiple news channels or news outlets as far as all about it and whatnot. I have zero doubt we got to hit the 7 million after this documentary comes out. We got to be close. I don't know what the number is, but we got to be close at this point.
I think it will.
But for you people out there watching it, pony up. It's a great organization, man. You guys, the 777 event was cool, man. Honestly, one of the coolest things I've ever seen happen.
It was cool to be a part of it, and very blessed and privileged to have worked with those guys and done that experience. It was cool.
Are there any future unique jumps that
Yeah,
you
so
personally want to hit?
Legacy Expeditions there.
Yeah.
Mike's company. Yeah, we got a couple other little tricks up our sleeve that we're working on.
How do you one up that? You like jump out and land on Everest, or
actually, he actually did that before.
Jesus.
I
didn't know that.
I wasn't involved in that. I wish I would have been.
No shit.
But yeah, he was involved in that one.
He landed on top of Everest.
Not on top.
Okay.
There's
he jumped into base camp.
Yes.
Okay.
So, no, I don't even know it was base camp, but yes.
One of the lower camps.
I'm not sure exactly.
That's it.
Ever been to Everest?
Is that on the bucket list?
It's a lot of climbing.
That's a lot of climbing.
Are you kidding me? I would love to if I ever had that opportunity. But yeah, we got a couple of cool things. We got maybe a couple altitude records. We might have something going in to land into Dunkirk.
Really?
So do an offset jump and try to fly across the English Channel. Of course, we have a lot of winds that we have to calculate for, and logistically airspace. But we're gonna have some help with some friends of ours from Sister Services, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be real cool.
Man, that's exciting. That's exciting. So I think we probably need to.
It's boring.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, we do real estate and mortgages. It's like, I tell Mike all the time, I'm like, man, you have no idea how lucky you are to just be able to experience some of the stuff you have. But
he earned the right to do all this stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. But guys, keep your eyes on Legacy Expeditions. Keep your eyes on the 777. Again, the documentary's coming out next month. Go see it, watch it, donate.
But before you say that, the documentary, it's obviously going to be in select theaters. If somebody wants to watch, is it going to be released to the public?
I believe it comes out.
Streaming.
I believe the first day it comes out is May 11th.
Okay.
And the idea is we were trying to get it in certain theaters, and again, this isn't my world, and I know Mike Sorelli and his team are working very hard. They created a thing with Dan Myrick, who, if you don't know, he was the producer of the Blair Witch Project back in the day, and kind of started the trend of however they did filming back then. Again, I'm not a media person, so I know I'm just butchering this, so I apologize to everyone. But anyway, they're moving forward with this thing, and the idea was, again, I'm not sure exactly how it is supposed to work, but Memorial Day to 4th of July, and maybe even we get it from Memorial Day to Veterans Day in theaters. But I believe the first few select theaters is going to be May 11th, and then hopefully the bigger chains are going to pick it up from that Memorial Day to July 4, or even better would be Veterans Day. And we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
that's exciting. So to wrap up, if there was one of those continents, if somebody said you can go back to which one was your favorite jump? You got to pick one.
Am I gonna only pick one? I thought they were all so cool. Well, they were also unique, right? For some reason, I've always really liked South America, especially Chile and Argentina. The culture, the people, so nice.
So part of that would be if you could hang out for about a week or two after.
Oh man, maybe live there. I don't know.
Then you go back to Australia and party with his
Australia, dude. Australia's always a good time. Yeah. Sometimes it's not all the country or the geographical places. It's the people, right?
Right.
That make it. That country was awesome.
Yeah.
Even if maybe it doesn't, country don't have much going for it, but it was just the people,
It's always the people.
Yeah.
So closing out, wrapping this thing up. This is fun, man. This is fun. Will you come back and see us again? Talk about something else?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm kind of, this is my first time ever doing anything. I guess I've never seen so many lights and cameras. It's kind of intimidating for a guy like me, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I'll try. I mean, I don't have the gift of gab like, some of these guys are very well spoken, but I'll help you. Dude, you know me, I'll help you out anytime you need.
Buddy, we're honored.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
As always, I'm honored.
Keep up the good work with Paul. It's such a cool organization. It's a really, what they're doing is a unique thing that I think it's lost in the mix of military life. It's taking care of the kids, and spouses, so that's really cool.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Go check out the documentary 777 and go to foldsofhonor.org and get out your checkbooks, and let's make sure we hit that 7 million. All right, peace.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.